And finally tonight, my take on the Iran nuclear deal. President Trump has approved it one last time so the U.S. and Europe can fix what he says are the nuclear deal's terrible flaws. Well, here are just some of the more basic flaws. Firstly, Iran got billions of dollars and sanctions relief right away, up front. Sweet deal for them. The deal does not allow for inspections anytime, anywhere. Just inspections sometimes in some places. Military sites aren't accessible, and Iran has 14 days to consider the requests of International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors. It can delay inspections for up to 24 days, allowing it to move, hide, or destroy materials. Now, Iran has a long history of cheating, so how confident can we be with its compliance? And of course, the biggest issue is that the deal is not permanent. The sunset clause says that in 2025, Iran can go ahead with its uranium enrichment program. So in 7 years' time, Iran will have the option to develop an industrial-scale enrichment program that will make it easier for it to then sprint across the threshold. The deal banks on the hope that by then, well, Iran would have had a change of heart and will no longer want nuclear weapons. Right. Well, these are just some of the reasons why it's a bad deal. But it turns out that it is even worse than we thought. The deal may have come with the extra cost of letting terrorist group Hezbollah get away with drug smuggling, money laundering, and terrorism. Politico recently published a meticulously sourced investigative piece detailing how the Obama administration had secretly undermined Project Cassandra, an elaborate federal probe into international drug smuggling, money laundering, and terrorism by Hezbollah, which is, of course, an Iranian proxy. Now, the Obama administration wanted the Iran deal so badly that it didn't want anything to upset Tehran and tossed a string of roadblocks holding back the project. As Politico sources made clear, a decision was made at the highest levels of the Obama administration to not rock the boat on the Iran deal. So that meant throwing obstructions in front of investigators and failing to prosecute some major players, including a Lebanese arm dealer indicted for murder and a top operative involved in chemical weapons. Now, this expose was based on interviews with Drug Enforcement Administration personnel and other well-placed sources within the federal government who worked on Project Cassandra, many quoted on the record. So it turns out we do have a scenario where a president used his power to interfere with a federal investigation involving foreign powers committing serious crimes in the U.S. as well as elsewhere. And no, I'm not referring to investigations into possible collusion with Russia during the campaign and alleged obstruction of justice once President Trump took office. Now, so far, a year into it, there is no proof that the Trump campaign actually plotted with Russia. But there does appear to be evidence that Obama and Hezbollah, Iran and the Russians placed the interests of foreign powers over those of the U.S. Now, on the upside, the Department of Justice has just launched a new task force to investigate Hezbollah's drug trafficking and money laundering schemes. That's good. But where is the mainstream media? The silence on this has been deafening. A story about potential collusion between the former president and a terror-supporting state just didn't merit coverage in most major newspapers on ABC, NBC, and CBS. Other than Fox, cable news largely ignored it as well. Unlike most of the majority of these so-called scoops about the Russian collusion investigation, the story has two on-the-record sources. One of those sources, David Asher, a finance expert at the Pentagon who was tapped to run the investigation. Needless to say, had it been Trump's name linked to this instead of Obama's, this scandal would have caused a media frenzy. The way this has been ignored just reinforces the concept of the mainstream media Obama love affair. If true, the undermining of Cassandra is a major scandal. It's the sort of thing that ought to rock Washington to its core. It shows that the Obama administration helped allow Hezbollah to evolve into a significant global security threat, bankrolling terrorists and military operations, that the Obama administration was willing to prioritize the interests of Iran and its Hezbollah auxiliaries over its duty to protect American citizens, making what Trump calls the worst deal ever even worse. All right, that's my take. I'd love to hear your say, so feel free to opine on Twitter and Facebook. That's ClearCut. I'm Michelle Makori. Thank you for watching.